Peace, and welcome to another episode of the Grown Man Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Baith Nuruddin, and I've said it before in the other episodes. I hope you check them out. That first season, I'm inviting all of my friends, all of my guys who there's something about what they do, the cadence of what they do, how they're sewn into the world, and all that good stuff. And today's episode is no different. A good friend of mine that I've had the pleasure of knowing for quite so many years. A creative genius in his own right. Somebody that takes the world of expression seriously, but not serious like a stickler, but serious enough to enjoy being passionate and involved and present when it comes to whatever this young sir is creating. And without any further ado, before I muck it up, I'd like to introduce my guy, Isan. What's going on? Hold your applause.
Damn, how long have I known you?
10 plus.
10 plus, right?
10 plus. Yeah.
Time flies.
Time flies, for sure. I mean, it goes without saying, of course, there's a lot of people that know and love you, appreciate who you are, but they may not know me, and the people that know me may not know you.
Right.
So I would love if you would give your introducciones to the peoples. You know, who you are, what you do, where you from, you know, all that good stuff.
Damn, one of the hardest things for me to do,
Yeah.
and maybe this is hard for a lot of people, is talking about myself, right?
Understood.
Right, because it kind of feels like you're running down a resume, like, let me tell you guys what I've done.
So,
I'm
cool. I was in marketing for 17 years.
All right, so I normally would say born and raised in Newark.
Okay.
For people who aren't from the area.
Got you.
I was born in Newark, but raised in Irvington.
Okay.
It's weird because I was always on the border of Irvington and Newark.
Yeah.
So it just felt easy to be like, I'm from Newark. But I'm from Irvington, right?
Yeah.
Springfield and Ellis. You know, a lot of people always go, damn.
Yeah.
Where you from? Yes.
Thug territory.
Irvington High, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I am a creative. I've been a creative since probably I went into my first art magnet program when I was in the 6th grade, Union Avenue, if anyone knows that. Then Irvington High, and then did some time at Cooper Union and Rutgers.
Okay.
I was always about creativity and finding a way to find my voice in work. Yeah. I think I did that for the most part subconsciously without me knowing that's what I was doing, right? Because I was kind of like a shy, introverted kind of kid, even though there's probably some people who will watch this who know me and go, no, you weren't.
Nah, dog.
You talk a lot. Or like, I was like most talkative in high school, but like those were in spaces that I felt safe and comfortable in, that I would be myself and talk. But for the most part, when I met new people, kind of introverted, kept to myself, always wanting to feel safe in spaces. So a lot of times I wouldn't emerge right away. Took my time. Went to Rutgers, studied there, did some English. That was my major, English with a minor in psychology and Africana studies. And after a while, left Rutgers and went into the workforce. And it wasn't until my 8th year at a job that was financially stable, gave me a lot of safety, that I said, everyone around me has been in this job for 20 years. Yeah. I have to get out. I have to get the hell out of here because I'm not doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. What that exactly was, I wasn't sure, but I knew it was in the arts. And I knew that I was getting too comfortable collecting money at this job. I got to get out. Yeah. So then I stepped out on faith and went full steam ahead into the arts. I'm doing art exhibits. I'm hosting, like I was working for Bossa at one point, All Eyes on Who. I was doing the blog, corresponding work left and right, had a radio show. I'm on red carpets. I'm like at all the right events, all the cool kids all over the country, LA, Atlanta, having fun, meeting people. And then a shift happened And I had to do some serious work on myself.
Yeah.
I had always known that there was work to be done, but I think in the process of falling into this lane in the arts, the more I had to see myself, whether it be on camera or on blogs or online, I started really looking at myself deeper than the surface. And that's when I guess a lot of people found me, was when they saw me on Iyanla Fix My Life, trying to like get my life fixed with my father.
Yeah.
And from there, that kind of like took me in another direction. I knew I had a lot of work to do. And I knew it wasn't going to happen overnight. And so I spent the next 10 years focusing on doing some self-evaluation, some therapy, and I started working in the medical field. I'm all, not that I was all over the place, but I was on a
trying to find your thing.
I was navigating trying to find my thing. And so I think that's, and let me hear. Right? Let me hear. I mean, a bunch of stuff happened in between, but I'm here today. Here I am.
Yeah.
Was that an introduction?
That was.
Okay.
That was.
Okay.
That was a good
long-winded. I don't know how to be short-winded.
Nah, the thing is, like, at our big age, right, we've had tons of experiences. It doesn't escape me that the truth of that is it's everywhere. It rides along with the maturation journey in itself. It's like doing something, finding your thing or not finding your thing, finding something you like and realizing it's not really what you thought it was, so you don't like it no more. There's so many different traverses in there. It's how can you do it in 30 seconds or less?
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless you introduce, hi, I'm me, and I did a lot of shit.
I mean, if I could rewind it, I mean, we could start there. Hi, I'm Isam. I've done a lot of shit from a lot of places. It's nice to meet you. I mean, but if I feel like for the most part, if I wasn't existing in fear for most of my journey, I probably would have gotten here differently.
Yeah.
And probably sooner. You know, I sometimes I do feel I'm about to be 45 next year that I could have been here a long time ago. Yeah. But I know it all happens when it's supposed to happen. So, sure. And luckily I don't look like 45 years have stepped all over my face. So
Amen.
I can start from here and be fine, you know? It's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Since I was 12.
Well, at 25, I stopped aging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just gaining weight.
Is it true that you're part vampire and African American?
Oh, you think I'm African American? Oh, it's funny. Most people don't.
Yo, man.
Thank you.
It'd be funny when I like tap into some of these weird ass social norms about perception. It's like, what makes you doesn't necessarily come from the culture that you're in, or it's so many of those things that are inside of it. So it's like, to somebody to look at you and be like, oh nah, he's mad light skinned, you gotta be mixed. Or he's mad light skinned, you gotta be something else. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, based on what exactly? Like, how did you land on that? Do we not know that the diaspora is mad colors of wheat? You know what I'm saying? Like,
we are people of a color.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Many shades of color.
Many shades.
Yeah.
The first question I'd like to ask, a simple one. When you hear the term or the phrase grown man shift, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Emotional intelligence comes to mind for me when it comes to just how we think, right? Yeah. As men, I don't know if most of us are operating from a man space.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us are still operating from a boy space, but in adult bodies, right? Gotcha. And so a lot of times they haven't shifted from boy to man in an emotional way. Yeah, and so that's what I think of immediately because I like to think that I have some form of emotional intelligence. I feel like, I'm doing work and trying to, I strive to be better every day, right?
Yeah.
I strive to do research and learn about myself and do therapy and do all the things necessary for me to be in my manhood and my manness every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if many males are doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I think of.
Understood.
That makes sense?
It make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It do.
Okay.
I also say that again.
You fuck with that?
I do. I mean, because I do feel like at some point, being a man doesn't mean it's devoid of being emotional.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not devoid of all of the other parts that are closely related to having emotions. I heard something not too long ago, and I talked about it to some of the other guests, is that men seem to only be relegated to anger and happiness. There's no in between. And because there's no in between, being a man is rigid. Like you almost have to be this way or that way in order to be considered a man. And I feel like it's just not true. Yeah. It's just not true. It's not, being a man isn't only relegated to straight men. Mm-hmm. It's also relegated to gay men. Mm-hmm. It's also relegated to anybody who takes up the mantle of what those properties or characteristics would be, which is provision, which is protection, which is leadership, like all of those things. I don't think you necessarily have to be, a beard 30 feet long and sitting on the couch with the holy t-shirt, scratching your balls all day and barking orders. I don't think that constitutes what a man is.
I don't either, but I think so many people are limited with what kind of men that they've been exposed to.
It's a fact.
Or even the kind of men that women have been exposed to who perpetuate those ideas onto the men that they have or the men that they want. Yeah. So it limits how people can express themselves. Like I feel like the last 3 years have been about what's the phrase that women have been putting on men when it comes
to masculinity.
Toxic masculinity, whether it be toxic masculinity or like what's the soft version of toxic masculinity where it's there, we're in a sassy era of men where, men express an emotion and is automatically perceived as to be weak or soft or something emasculating that he can't be, that he can't express that. And I don't know if it's because as a gay boy, the feminine traits that I possessed then were always something that was put under a microscope for me. Yeah. And so I think for a large period of my life, I was always trying to not be the things that were considered soft or feminine. But at the same time, while the women were kind of like putting that on me, the men were putting on me the sense that I couldn't even display masculinity. Yeah. So like the things that were considered masculine, whether it was like I was very good at basketball. Yeah. I could have played basketball. Yeah. I'm 6'2", always been the tallest in my class. Yeah. And I was really good at basketball. Yeah. And one day we're doing free throws and I'm killing them. I'm killing not only my class, but the 8th graders ahead of me. Yeah. 6th graders behind me. 7th grade, killing them. Yeah. Right? Swish, like all net, good. And I'm proud of myself. Like, look at that. Yeah. And somebody said, you know why he good at that? Mm. And I heard, I'm paying attention. They said, they went like this.
Oh, shit.
That's why.
Damn.
I never picked up a basketball again.
Damn.
I couldn't even be masculine. Yeah. I couldn't explore that. Yeah. And I couldn't explore my femininity and embrace it because of what that meant. So, like, I get it that some people are very limited in how they can express themselves, and I definitely have lived that.
Yeah, 10 times over and shit. What is your definition of manhood? Like, being a gay man in this society, I'm pretty sure what you can and cannot be still plays true to this day, even though we're supposed to be open and accepting and all of those things. what is your definition of manhood?
I think my definition of manhood is the same for womanhood. Yeah. And what I think it should be, it's accountability, self-reflection, respect for oneself and for others, right? Yeah. So it's about how we treat ourselves and how we treat those around us, right? Yeah. And how we show up in those spaces and what we put into the world. Yeah. Like when you stand in that, to me, that's a man. Yeah. That's a man. Completely comfortable in who you are. You can talk to anybody. You're respectful. Yeah. Like you are, to me, what I think a man is too, because when we met, you could have easily have just disregarded me. Yeah. Right. Oh, here go, for lack of a better expression, here go another faggot. Like I'm good. Like I like, and that's the funny thing about
oh my God,
you by right. Like he gonna want to do something with me. He's gonna try to hit on me. And that's never been our relationship. And the crazy thing about it is that I always wanted male friendship. Yeah. Right. And not male friendship in the sense of like, I don't have no gay male friends, but I didn't want that to be limited to just gay male friendships. Yeah. So when I met a guy who I was cool with, like, oh shit, we got a lot of shit in common. You're a creative, you're a Gemini. Oh shit, what you working on? And we could connect. Yeah. It just happened without you, what appeared to not be reservation. Yeah. And to me, that's what manhood looks like, when you can step into a space, own who you are, and show love and respect to everyone around you. Yeah. Despite whatever you may have placed in your head about who you think I am.
Yeah. Man, I didn't know that. And I'm appreciative of what I've been able to learn from you also. As an adult man, I have gay cousins, I have gay homies from a distance, but you were the first gay guy. When we first linked, it was like, before we even get cool, I just need to know, are you genuinely rocking with me because you are genuinely rocking with me, or do you have other...
You asked me that?
You asked me that.
Oh, did I?
You did.
What did I ask you?
You asked me, was this like one of them secret fantasies?
Okay.
Like, hold up, I just want to make sure I'm not accusing you, but you was like, I've had pretty interesting experiences with guys who pose as straight, and then it's the Trojan horse. Now they trying to get in my pants and all this other shit on the low. Right. And you was like, yo, are you like genuinely, like you fucking with me because you genuinely fucking with me, or you fucking with me because you're trying to fuck with me? And I'm like, nah, I'm fucking with you because I know this person who know you. I know that person who know you. I've seen your work. Your name preceded you. And when we met, it wasn't like, oh my God, this gay nigga, he probably checking me out.
Well, I was rude to you when I first met you.
You was. And I get it because of how I met you. Right. Which, in that situation, I was cool with somebody he was cool with. And because I was cool with somebody he was cool with, it was like, hey, man, want to pull up? No. You know what I'm saying? So, because I was cool with who he was cool with, I never considered myself like... I've always been secure in who I am. I don't feel like because I'm in a room full of gay guys, it makes me gay. I don't feel like because I have friends that I embrace, like I hug you. I don't hug you and feel like, oh man, this nigga probably checking me out. I hug you just like I would hug my brother, just like I would hug any of one of my brothers, my homeboys. I don't look at you no different because of your lifestyle. You just who you are.
Well, I appreciate it too, because a lot of people ain't even huggers. Right? Yeah. Like I meet people who don't hug their family. Yeah. Like in my family, we hug, we kiss. Yeah. I wasn't gonna kiss you. Yeah. But I would definitely hug you. Like, hey, what's up? Like I hug my brother because I'm happy to see you.
Facts.
Like it don't like because like that's how I am with my female friends. Yeah. If I treat everyone kind of like in the same vein, and because I only really had female friends, I always treated guys like how I treated them. Yeah. So like that might result in too much texting. Yeah. Because I'm so used to communicating with them where we're talking all the damn time. Yeah. I have a thought, I share it. Fact. Hugging and just loving on each other in a way that I don't think men give each other the space to really do that in that kind of way. Is very like how am I supposed to do this? What up, bro? Like, oh, that's too much. Pause. Yeah, everything is a pause. It's a pause before you do it, and you just can't do shit. And I'm like, well, damn, why gotta be that? Yeah, and I'm glad that I said that to you, because I think that most people would assume that if you were trying to like give me straight boy and really actually trying to get that, I would have been anticipating it and waiting. Like, oh yeah, I know what he about to do. I know it's about to happen here, but I was never, and that's why I was always reluctant to have straight male friends.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to give them the impression that I was waiting for a moment.
Yeah.
Kind of like how when men are friends
in the
with
friend
women
zone and shit. Yeah.
and it's an attractive woman that you go,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for that moment for that bitch to drop them drawers, and I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna swoop in as soon as she give me, as soon as I get a yellow light,
Facts.
I'm gonna go.
Facts.
I never wanted that with people who I actually felt a connection to.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm not trying to be no fantasy. I'm not
Yeah.
no guinea pig. I'm not. I want a friendship. I want real friendship, and I've had difficulty in that with people who, in the process of doing that, have found themselves attracted to me in a way that they would a female. And then now they flip it on me and make it seem as if I had some kind of intention. I'm like, nah, just because you started,
man, it's your fault I'm gay
sipping
now,
this
man.
milk. It's that's all you. I ain't do nothing but show up. So I'm glad that we never had to do that. I'm glad that I have met your wife. I've been around you and your family, and it's something that I just respect. Boundaries is something I respect.
100%. And I don't feel like it's no different than me having the amount of platonic relationships I have with women. There's no way that a good-looking man who's happily married has female friends. What do you need friends for when you got a wife? Right. Girl, my wife need friends too. Mm-hmm. I can't say I'm encouraging either way, but I'm not of the type of like it has to be one way. All of this shit is a gray area.
Yeah.
Life is one big ass gray area. And the sooner that we all just acclimate to that, I think all of these black and white societal norms that we think are normal we'll look at it like, what makes that normal? My grandmother passed. My youngest son, seen me cry for the first time. There's nothing for me to hide.
Yeah.
Grief is a normal part of life. We lose people that we love, whether they die or the relationship fades. You still grieve, regardless of what. My son seeing me cry, I think probably has been one of the most liberating things I've experienced, because you don't have to contain your emotions. You don't have to unfeel things in order for you to be considered manly or masculine or whatever it is. Men cry too. We cry too. We have the range of emotions that any living being has. It's not relegated to women, and it's not relegated to men who are considered feminine men. It's relegated to anybody that has a pulse, that has a heart, that has a perspective, that has a view, that have people that you love, that love you. You're going to feel that shit.
How did your son respond to you crying?
How did he respond?
Yeah.
He was just like in awe. He's like, man, Dad, I never seen you cry before. But then he did some cool shit that was like, it's almost like one of them moments. He's like, but sometimes you gotta let it out, right, Dad? You do. He's 9 and he gets it. And it's like, if we all had that same perspective that we have as kids, where the world, we just see the amazement and the wonder of it. We won't get mixed into all of these yours and mine, or that and this, or you can't, or you should. When, dog, you want peace? I want peace. You want happiness? I want happiness.
Can we talk about a child's brain real quick?
For sure.
Because those are some of the most amazing sponges of information and feeling.
It's a fact.
Right? So like seeing you cry, like I never saw any man cry in my family.
Same.
I have nothing but uncles, grandfather. Never saw a man crying. I used to lock myself into a room in the dark to cry. Right? Nothing ever gave me permission to be able to do that in front of anyone or show that I was feeling weak or vulnerable. Any of those things, nothing gave me permission to do that. I'm glad that at 9 years old, he was able to see that so that he can, one, start showing empathy, because we need to learn that as children.
Facts. And
we need to know that it's okay that even we too as men get to cry. Like it's 100%. Human. Like what's the quote? If you're not crying, find me a man that's not crying and I'll show you a man who's hitting somebody, hitting a woman. Man. And it's very impactful. It's powerful how what crying can do. I always urge any of my friends, if you have not cried, you need to find a movie, find a song, release some of that shit, because that shit is holding you back in so many ways. Like,
it's a fact.
People are like masking their pain in so many ways. They're like in routines to kind of like protect themselves from letting it out. But I'm telling you, that let out will free you in so many ways.
100%.
I love a good cry.
100%.
I was just, and I feel like the older that I've gotten, the more emotional I've gotten. Right? I don't know if it's years of holding it in. That I was listening to a song. There's no reason I should be crying to UNITY by Queen Latifah. I swear to you, I'm not even joking. I was listening to UNITY, and I was like, walk past this nigga when he passed me. My booty, it was nasty. And my eyes started tearing up. I was like, what the disrespect. How dare he? What I don't know what the hell I've been going through emotionally. But lately, the strangest things I've been like so in tune. I don't know, because I've been in the process of writing this book. And like my emotions are even more open and exposed than they usually are. That I've been tapping into stuff like never before. So I'm glad that your son got a chance to tap into that now, so that as he gets older, he can continue from where you started.
It's a fact. Because keep it real. It's like, what does it solve to not feel? It doesn't solve anything. We see a whole world when we look out the window of people with all of these suppressed feelings, not because they aren't meaningful, not because they're not important. It's just because the world tells you to feel, but not that much. Society says, well, at 9, what you got to cry for? Everything nigga, I'm just getting into emotions. I didn't know none of this shit existed. I didn't know that I could be mad and not really mad, but actually I'm sad, but not really sad. I just miss you. We don't get, we didn't get that because, again, just like you, me, feeling shit wasn't manly.
Nah.
Dog.
We tell boys, stop that crying. Stop that crying.
Come on, man. Fuck you crying for.
Put your big boy drawers on.
Dog.
And if anything, I've always felt the opposite of that. It's like the big boy drawers was me crying. Like I always saw that as the strength. To show it where other people aren't. It was like people were so scared to do it. I'm like, I need to get out this damn bathroom crying to myself and like let these tears roll out for real. Like why am I hiding the fact that something hurt me, or like I'm in pain and I'm suffering? Like we're like in a society where they like, I'd rather you suffer in silence and behind closed doors. Definitely not in front of your woman. Definitely not in front of your partners, in front of your community. Like you shouldn't be outraged. You shouldn't be angry as a black man. And as black men, shit, we got a lot of shit to cry about.
Hell yeah.
But are we giving ourselves permission to do that?
No.
Not all the time.
No.
And so I don't really have conversations with too many men that are vulnerable conversations. It's like I love to have a conversation where you see that door kind of like open a little bit. And you go, damn, there's nothing more that it's crazy, but I love to see a man cry. And there's something about seeing a man cry that hurts me more than seeing a woman cry, because I know that they had to tap into something deeper than what she had to tap into, because she can easily do it. But when that man cries, that's there's a lot that comes with that you gotta stand up and notice and really like kind of like tap in and be like, yo, I hear you. Like, what is that? Talk to me about that, because I feel like we don't get that.
We don't get that. Not easily, and it has to be conditional. I was driving down Bergen Street over by UMD. I get to the light. This is both my grandparents are alive. My pops has passed, and I just start crying because I'm thinking about how I'm not meeting this mark of taking care of my grandparents, of being, ready and willing at every beck and call. And I was telling my granddad, he's a man's man. He's an old school guy. Just learning how to tap into emotions and express it at like in his 80s. And I'm telling him, and I start tearing up, and he's like, cut that shit out. And I'm thinking, here we go, typical shit. Hold on. Faded to black. Now we back.
I mean, because that generation,
yeah.
If you thought we had it bad on expressing shit,
yeah.
Oh, that generation,
Fact.
that they really are like, nah.
Yeah, fuck out of here. And for me, I thought he was telling me to chill on that old school man shit, and he was like, "I cut that shit out." And I'm like, I'm about to give him the what too. Like, nah, I'm allowed to feel how I feel. He's like, I understand you feel how you feel, but you're comparing yourself to something that's not true. He's like, look at this, look at that, and look at this. And your dad was this. My dad was in the streets running wild. He didn't really get his life together fully until I became a dad. I was 21, 20 years old. So 20 years of seeing my dad, or 15 years of seeing my dad in and out of the craziest situations, living in an abandoned house, dope nodding on the corner. Like, people, I know you're my dad. I know you're my dad. I don't even want to talk to you because I don't want somebody to know that you're my dad. Mm-hmm. Going through all of that only to get to a space where it's like, damn, you're right. I'm present. I'm doing the best that I can for my family. I'm doing the best that I can for my grandparents. Like, he really shook the shit off. But I needed to get to that. I needed to cry in order to get to that point where it was like, now that I got it out, what am I going to do about it? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Am I going to leave it up to chance? Am I going to leave it up to somebody else to figure it out? Or am I going to put on my big boy pants and figure this out? But it was like that random space of just release. I ain't shooting nothing up. I'm not shooting nothing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't out here with the gun, and I'm not inundated with drug use. I'm able to process my emotions and deal with them accordingly. I'm able to make sure that when I show up in a room, it's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say that 100% of the time. Yeah. I got a good track record, maybe 87%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's fair. It's only right. It's only fair.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I try to make sure, or I do my best to make sure that what I'm feeling isn't affecting the people around me, because the people around me fuck with me like that. Mm-hmm. And because they fuck with me like that, what do I look like being not in control of the fact that I'm upset, or not in control of the fact that I'm sad, or I'm depressed, or there's whatever litany of feelings that I have? What do I look like taking it out on my family? Shut the fuck up. Everybody go in the room and be quiet. Bitch, dinner ain't ready. That whole thing that plays in my mind of how I seen men display their emotions, I just like, damn, I wish I could go back and hug them niggas. Damn, I wish I could go back and be like, dog, like, I know work is stressful. I know life is stressful. I know figuring out what you're going to do in a space where you didn't plan it is stressful. However, there's ways to deal with it. There's ways to slow that shit down where it don't just come crashing on you all at once. Yeah. There's ways to do that. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the liberation that I'm able to have with the range of emotions that I feel, because, nigga, I'm human. That's about to be my new shit.
Is that the name of the new podcast?
You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I'm human. Starring everybody. You know what I mean? Because it's the truth.
Well, what was the relationship with your father before he passed?
Oh, my relationship with my dad was A1.
Okay.
Because I got to see the fullness of what my dad's potential was. My dad was in a rehab in Florida, got clean, and then moved to Alaska. Started a assisted living facility with his wife. And they was up there doing their thing for people with addiction and not with addiction, people who had medical issues, and they just couldn't be 100% living on their own. And they had like maybe 3 or 4 facilities up there. So I got to see my dad be the dad. Like, Dad, I need help. Can you send me like $250? All right. Say less. I'm gonna send it to where you at. What's the address? From seeing my dad on the street, like begging me for money.
Yeah.
Son, let me get $20 till next week. I'm about to get this check for $100,000 for this running game. Where you getting $100,000 from, Dad? Let's, you know what I mean?
And ass fathers.
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah. So my relationship with my dad was like cool. Like I got to have conversations with him about life.
Yeah.
Just in general. Death. We talked about death. We talked about life. We talked about women. We talked about him being a womanizer and what made him change his tune. Him having a certain level of love for my mom that just never faded. Not like he was in love with her, had to be with her, but it was a certain level of like, man, your mom was a real one. And I fucked it up because I was doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Luckily, we ain't get fucked up in the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wearing that, but
it sounds like the kind of relationship I would have liked to have had with my father. Yeah.
How was your relationship with your pops?
Non-existent. Yeah. I had hope that it would have evolved from fixing our lives. Everyone always asks, like, you know, after the show, where did it go? And I said, that was the last time I saw him.
Damn.
Last time I saw him. And so when he passed, it was just a lot of, I guess, still questions that I had that I just never got a chance to ask. You know, I never knew his real story. A lot of things left unanswered, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then because it was during COVID, we didn't have a funeral. It was like in the beginning of COVID where everything was extra scary.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I started writing this book that I even eulogized him.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't even gotten a chance to say anything to him about his life or our relationship, or my hopes, my dreams for us. But you know, I never really gave myself the space to have that relationship with other men.
Yeah.
You know, I had male figures around who could have been father figures. Yeah. But I was so hell bent on getting it from my actual father that I didn't leave a lot of space and room for me to get that somewhere else. Yeah. And it wasn't until much later in life that I was like, oh, well, I didn't need it to be from my father. It could have been from the next door neighbor or my teacher or my uncles. So many of them. Yeah. So that's nice to know. I always, whenever I go to my friends' houses, I love to observe them with their fathers. Yeah. I just sit back and just kind of like, I think a part of me envisions me with my father and seeing them. But it's something very special about a father and his son. Yeah. That I love to I love to see a father on the street with his kid. Like it's like at one point I was like doing an Instagram page, but I hated that I was kind of creepy where I would like creep up behind somebody and snap a picture of the father.
You with dad? Let me get this picture.
I wouldn't even ask. I assumed that's the father. And I just take a picture. I said, let me stop doing that because you know, it was a little weird. Yeah. But I just love seeing a father and their child. Yeah. It's just a beautiful thing. So I'm just glad that you guys had that before he passed.
Is there, you said there's questions that you still haven't asked. Is there something that you like, man, if I could ask my dad anything, it would be this?
So in terms of my family tree, there's still a lot of questions that I don't have the answers to. Yeah. So my last name is Houston. And so my father always told me that we were related to Whitney Houston. Cool. I didn't believe it. But when I was 9 years old, I got a chance to meet her and ask her face to face. My aunts were singing background for her on her I'm Your Baby Tonight concert, and we all went. And this isn't the Houston side of my family. This is my mom's side of the family. Yeah. And my uncle's wife her sisters were singing background. So these are aunts through marriage. Yeah. And so we go. And so I said, damn, I have to ask her. Like, I'm so tired of like hearing this story from my father. I got to know if it's true. Yeah. So I said, listen, my father said that we were related. She said, where are you from? I said, Irvington. She said, okay, I'm from East Orange. Yeah. And so she said, well, what's your father? What's your grandfather's name? And I said, Abraham. Yeah. And she said, that's my grandfather's name. And so I said, and she kind of looked at me weird. So there's like this mystery behind my father's family tree because his mother apparently was in an affair with a married man.
Got you.
Now, my father's name is the same name as Whitney's father, which would make her father my grandfather.
Yeah.
But there's everyone's like, oh no, well, so then one family member told me, oh no, it was his brother that was your father's father.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well then if that's his brother, why would he name his son after his brother?
People do that.
People do that?
Yeah, people do that.
Well, there's a lot of
brother
questions.
named Henry, so I named my son Henry.
Well, I mean, that's very possible. Very possible. But those are questions. I would like to know what my family tree actually looks like.
Yeah.
I have some connection to the Houstons, but not all. We lost a lot of Houstons, but there's a lot of Houstons in this area. There's definitely things about his life that accountability, self-awareness, self-respect, which I said is what I think is a man. My father didn't always possess.
Yeah.
And so even us doing Iyanla was a big step for him in the right direction. But how vulnerable, how honest he was willing to be in that space. Yeah. There was still a lot of things that we could have tackled and we didn't, that I would have loved to have had conversations. I would have loved to have heard his version of my mom's love story with him. Yeah. I would have loved to have heard his love story with all my siblings' moms. I have two. I would have loved to hear the challenges that he faced and how he overcame them. I would love to hear, he's been through a lot. And I only know versions of those stories through other people's lens and not through his. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do with my mom is allow her to tell me her story so that I can at least know her story. And so that when she passes, I'm not left with questions. I want to know the people who I love. I want to know their story and what they've been through and how they got to where they are. Yeah. And so if I could have gotten that from my father before he passed, that's what I would have wanted.
I'm in a similar boat.
Yeah.
There's my dad studied martial arts, was a third degree black belt, was a graffiti writing artist, could look at you and draw you.
Oh, really?
Ran with the artifacts and a lot of the graffiti artists from back then. Played left-handed bass with George Clinton, apparently. There's a lot of things that my dad did, and the fullness of who he was when he passed, I just didn't get that chance to fully ask the questions. Back then I wasn't thinking the way I'm thinking now. So it would be dope in this space where I have the questions to ask. I know he always say, well, I named you great because I wanted you to be great. But it's well, what was the inspiration behind all of the names?
And what does your name mean?
It means the razor of the mentally dead. Yeah.
How you picked that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how my father picked my name. He picked my name.
What does Isam mean?
King of nobility. Yeah. But everybody was Muslim in 1980.
It's a fact.
In Newark. Everybody got these Muslim ass names.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Yeah, so
bread of leaven.
But they had an Arabic baby name book that they went through and tried to find a name that they thought was befitting for this soon-to-be child, and that's what they landed on.
With the vanilla skin.
Yes.
Vanilla skin baby.
Yeah. And he had good melanin too, my father.
Yeah.
Good melanin.
Yeah.
I got my mother's. Damn it. And all my other brothers, nice dark complexions, darker than you for sure.
Yeah.
And here I am. So make sure you tint me nicely so I can. So they can be like, what are you talking about? He got color. I only got color in the summer.
Nah. We love our many complexions and shit. So we were talking about manhood, that you kind of, the principles or the tenements that you consider what manhood is, you didn't necessarily see on display. as a gay man, how do you process manhood from the lens of like, you've been checked, you've been tried throughout your whole life, in terms of like, how can you display your level of manhood? How have you rewritten that in your own cadence? Like, you've seen it and you like, nah, dog, this is what I want it to be. Like, what is your version of what manhood is?
So, I think the silver lining in having a close relationship with my mom, and eventually having all female friends, was that I saw all the men that they were involved with. And so I got a chance to see who I didn't want to be, where I needed to stand up in, and where I needed to go as a man, and how I needed to show up, right? I knew that certain things weren't acceptable. You weren't going to receive love. You weren't going to receive a happily ever after if this is who you are. Right? And so it just kind of made me want to be a better version of myself, so that I can be just a fraction of what these women needed in their lives. Like, I have to be that. Like that, I can't be that. Like, I've seen my mother married 3 times. I've seen, all my female friends struggle with these guys out here. And I also had to accept that who I was automatically was better than what they were dating or what they were involved with. That I was already just a good person. And I knew that was already a step in the right direction of who I was going to be as a man. That I was like, if I just continue to build on that, always, like, I'm not, like, I was raised in church and all those things. I feel like not a good Christian boy, but like God-fearing. I always wanted to treat people the way I knew I wanted to be treated, the way I knew I wasn't being treated. I knew I needed to be that, right? If I wanted to be I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see in other people. And so to me, that was always going to lead me to be a better man than most. Because I was just already aware of too many things. Like, I had seen behind the curtain for women. I had seen behind the curtain of the shit that I would hear the guys talk about in school when the girls weren't around. I was privy to like both sides. And so I was able to find myself somewhere in the middle and like take the best parts of each and try to strive to be that.
Got you. It's interesting, man. Being a man in this space, it's this joke this comedian, he always says some shit, but then he'll say, be a man. So it's like, don't wear open-toe shoes. You keep your feelings bottled up just like your feet.
Your toes.
Be a man. You know what I'm saying?
I hate open toes. Yeah.
I like open toes. I think
you like to let your feet breathe?
I do. Not in the crib. Like, if you ask my family, they'll be like, my dad always got on slippers or dad always got on socks. So when I do have my feet out, it's like a spectacle, like, oh, dad's wearing his feet out. But I think I have nice feet. For a man, I think I have. It's not hammer time. It's not bunions and corns. I think I have I know. There's a certain level of self-care that I'm okay with.
Okay.
I'm not like, oh, I can't get a pedicure. I don't get them because whenever I get them, they always dig in the cuticle, and it's just never a good experience. I guess I got too much cuticle meat, I guess. I don't know.
I've only got my feet done twice in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a foot person.
No?
No, I always got socks on.
I mean,
except for the beach. And then when I'm at the beach, I dig my feet into the sand. Like them just dug into say you're not going to see them at all. Yeah, most guys ain't around in the hood with a Jesus sandal on. We don't do that around here.
We don't do that.
But it's nice to know that you embrace your foots.
I do. Yeah. I'm not a foot guy, but I'm also not the type of guy that's like,
I can't do that because I
can't do that. Nah, certain things, obviously, I can't wear a skirt. I can't wear a dress. It's just
you could wear a skirt.
I don't think it'd be fitting on my physique.
Kilt, maybe a kilt and a fashion kilt. Yeah, not no like if you want to wear. Well, listen, we're in a day and age where guys like straddle that line of what's considered women's clothing all the time for the sake of fashion. Yeah. I'm not personally a skirt guy. Yeah. I tried to do the kilt thing once. Yeah. And if anything, it was a test for myself. Yeah. To be okay with it. Yeah. Like, it may not be like if I think Kanye was doing like these leather kilts. Yeah. And I got a leather kilt with my leather pants, and I layered it, and I thought, oh, this look cool. Yeah. This is cool. Now, does that mean I'm gonna go get me like a backless mini, like some? No, I wasn't gonna do that. That's not my personal style. But I know people who that's their personal style. Yeah. They go out and they rock all kind of shit. Yeah. And I'm like, that's their thing, not my thing. Yeah. But I think have learned to champion people like that. Yeah. Because when I was just a young little gay boy standing in the street and people used to talk shit about me. Yeah. There was maybe one or two people that might stand up for me. Yeah. So now if I see something like that, I'm like, let them do their thing. Yeah, yeah. What they got to do with you? Like they chilling, Yeah. That's how they dress, Facts. Do your thing.
Facts. I'm never gonna yuck somebody's yum. I said that before.
That's a good training line that I hear so many times in different trainings. Don't yuck someone else's yum.
Yeah, you can't. It's like what I like. You don't have to like what I like for me to validate what I like. Yeah. There's some people that like hot Cheetos. I'm not a hot Cheeto guy. It's something about the orange and the taste and give me some hot fries though. I rock with the hot fries. Just not a hot Cheeto guy. But
I only yuck yums privately at home with my close friends. So I would call it disgusting or like, that's disgusting. I would never do that. But then when I go out, I'm like, no, yes, do your thing. It's amazing. Not my thing, but
Yeah, facts.
Those who know.
Speaking of not your thing, is your thing. How have you found your creative prowess now in your life? Do you feel it's necessary to include all of the parts of the things that you like? Are you doing it to introduce people to a different perspective when it comes to this thing or this creative piece or this body of work? Or is it just a constant evolution of the things that you enjoy and your curiosities and just pursuing it from that perspective?
I think I'm the kind of creative that creates for me first.
Got you.
And not just me as an adult, but me as the little boy version of myself, like what he needs. So like a lot of times when I'm creating things, they speak to a wide range of communities because that's where I come from. Yeah. So I'm an honest creative who wants everyone to see themselves in the work. So I'm always keeping in mind that I want everyone to connect. So how can we make this connect to all of those people? But then I've gotten to the place where I'm like, if you don't connect with it, it ain't for you. Because one, it's for me first. Yeah. And then I can consider you if I choose. Yeah. Because I don't choose that all the time. I'm not going to choose you over me and what I want to express, because all of it really is like a continuation of self-love for myself. Yeah. Right? For the child in me, for the adult in me, what I need, what he needed, and hoping to affect positive change. So like as I'm doing it for myself, there's someone that is watching it that can also be impacted by it too. Yeah. And that might be a father who may need to hear my perspective because he has a gay child. Yeah. Or a mom or who's hearing my story about my father and going, yes, because my son is going through that. Like so many different reasons why every perspective is important, because whether you believe it or not, you can connect to everyone's story. Yeah. Whether it be the wildest, craziest lens or perspective, you can connect to it. There's something in there for you. Yeah. You just cannot be so blinded by one part of the story that you don't really get the purpose or the meat of what it is that you need to get, because there's something in there for you. Fact. I don't think anything comes across our path where we're not supposed to take something from it.
I believe that.
So it's just more about creating the work that I need for me, and eventually, like I think specifically with my book, I know that my book touches on so many different areas that anyone can relate to. Yeah. Because we all have relationships with our parents, with our friends, our community, and who we are as people. Yeah. That at the root of what all those issues tap into, there's a chance for you to grow and learn and enjoy yourself and appreciate yourself in a way that you hadn't considered before.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the best work is when you're doing it for yourself and it reaches other people.
Makes sense.
Just an honest work.
Yeah.
Vulnerable, transparent work.
Yeah.
Affecting change.
That's a fact.
That's all.
That's a fact. We talked about me doing this podcast and the whole reason, and you articulated that so well. I feel like there's a piece of every man inside every man, and I understand how that is going to sound, and I don't care.
Pause.
Right?
No pause.
You feel me?
There's a piece of you in me. A small piece. Maybe it's a big piece, but there's a piece of you in me forever.
Forever. You feel me? That shit is hilarious. But it's true.
It is true.
There's a certain level of influence that we have that has found its way into the cadence of what we do that we got from somebody else. Point blank, period.
Yeah.
It could be woman, it could be man, but since this is grown man shift, I figured why not, right? I was going somewhere with that too.
I'm sorry, I threw you.
I was going somewhere with that. Man, damn it. I'll ask this then. What was it that moment when you were like, I have to write this book? What was it in your space, in your sphere of perspective that was like, you know what? I'm gonna embark on this.
So I had experienced 3 deaths, like more than 3 deaths, but there were 3 people who passed away in my life that were these huge, significant parts of who I was.
Yeah.
It was who I affectionately refer to as my godmother. She was my art teacher in high school.
Yeah.
Miss Rita Owens.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Rita Owens. Then it was my father. And then maybe like a month after my father was my cousin Jane. And Rita Owens was a creative. She was the first time I saw myself in an adult who looked and felt like me.
Yeah.
I think as a little black boy, there were so many people around me who didn't look like me.
Yeah.
That it made it really hard to exist in those spaces.
Yeah.
And so when I met her, light-skinned, freckled, creative that she was, I saw myself. I was like, damn it, I want to be her. I want to be her. So she was that for me. She was like the community that I needed. Then my father, who spoke to a lot of the identity that I had as a fatherless son for years. And then it was my cousin Jane, who was bisexual and was that representation for me amongst my family.
Yeah.
So those 3 components of who I was all passed away, and I was left with a lot on my plate.
Yeah.
And in processing it, it didn't really allow me to process it because everything was happening back to back. So before I could grieve one, there was someone else. Before I could grieve that, another person. And then eventually 12 people within my family had passed away that year.
Shit.
So it was a lot of death. So when one of my closest friends passed, it was the first time that I had a chance to really sit in grief. And all those deaths piled on top of each other, and I was experiencing it in that moment.
Yeah.
And so I think in the process of it, and surviving all of it, it just brought a different kind of awareness into who I was as a man and how strong I was and how I had overcome so much adversity. And I was like, I really want to talk about this because it kind of changed the trajectory of how I viewed everything, how I viewed people, how I viewed myself, how I viewed the relationships that I had, whether it be platonic or romantic. Everything changed in that I knew that I would be okay, that my worth wasn't going to be based on someone else's love for me. my life completely changed.
Yeah.
And so I said, I have to write this down. You know, I used to be a kid that would journal from time to time.
Yeah.
And I had played with writing a book when I was 20. But now, with everything that happened, I was just in a different space that I had the language. I knew what I wanted to say. I was very clear. Like, everything was so clear, and like, I was like alive in a different kind of way after like really grieving heavy for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to start writing because it's also going to be therapy for me too. It's going to help me make sense of a lot of different things. And I think as men, we tend to kind of like brush those things under the rug.
Yeah.
And show up with our bravest face.
Yeah.
And look people dead in the face as if nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And no, I've been through a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I know that we all have. And I felt like this book wasn't just for me. It was going to be for so many other people. And I was like, I have to put this down. I have to write this book.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of my proudest moments, one of my proudest creative projects, because I think the projects that I've done in the past have been not, this book seems more interactive.
Yeah.
This book pulls people in and allows them to see themselves in a way that the other work that I've done before, whether it be an art exhibit or whether, I think Gay Code, so I have a web series called Gay Code, and that allows a certain
threw that in there like it's not important
to see themselves. Yeah. But this particular project, across the board, I feel like people can see themselves and give themselves permission to look at themselves in a way that they hadn't before.
Yeah.
And try to break a lot of the patterns that have been created in their lives, that have been placed in their lives, and really move forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so, it just called to me. It really, really did call to me. And I spent the last 2 years crafting this book.
Yeah.
Like, I already knew, like, the rough draft wasn't even the hardest part. The rough draft was pretty easy. It made sense to me. Yeah. Exactly how it laid. Everything was happening. I was like just a vessel.
Yeah.
And it was just laying itself out. And I'm just writing and writing and writing. And every day, I'm just going at it. Maybe not every day, maybe every week. I wasn't giving myself like a timeline. I said, you need to say things as they come. And as I felt things, they were just coming at the right time.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, eulogizing my father. That happened when it needed to happen.
Yeah.
Writing about Mia or Jane or Miss Owens, like all those things that, you think you've gotten over a hurdle, but you realize it's still there. And you just have learned how to survive, and like we manage it differently. And so like all those things were coming up.
Yeah.
And I know that as I ventured into a new relationship with someone, that I needed to make sure that I tackled a lot of these things, because I didn't want to place any like old feelings onto something new.
Yeah.
And so, it was just everything that I needed it. Yeah. I needed this book. And so that's why, that's my why. Yeah. I definitely needed it.
Yeah. So the creative outlet actually became like super therapeutic in the process. Did you know it was going to be therapeutic? Did you have an inkling that it would be, or as you were going through the process, you realized the therapy was attached to it?
I knew I wanted to discuss patterns that have been created through, like in my mind, how it started and where it went. Yeah. 2 different worlds, right? It really became how childhood trauma can inform who we love, how we love, and why we love, right? Yeah. And so it just evolved. As I started writing, I would sit back sometimes and be like, damn, this shit is good. I was like, damn. Yeah. And then I would get on my phone and I would take a screenshot and I would send it to you or, my mother or somebody. And I'm like, yo, I never said this out loud. Yeah. I had never given myself permission to say a lot of the things that I say in this book. Yeah. For fear of ruffling feathers or caring too much about other people's feelings over my own.
Yeah.
And this is really me like reclaiming how I feel, like crying in front of people without having to be afraid of how it looks as a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is me letting all of that go and standing in who the fuck I am. It's the shift that I needed to move forward.
It's a fact. That level of transparency does not escape me, because doing this also is a level of transparency that I'm okay with. I'm okay with having candid conversations that I would typically have and just allowing the cameras and the audio to be present. It's not easy. It's not easy saying the thing that scares you the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's not easy expressing the you-ness that is you authentically and transparently. You feel me? So this level of transparency, did you meet it with resistance, or were you like, fuck it, it is what it is, this is what it is? Or were you like, I don't know?
No, I think I'm definitely in the time in my life where my truth is my truth.
It's a fact.
Like how you digest my truth is completely on you. It's none of my business. And I know I hate to be this gay, but RuPaul says this all the time. How you feel about me is none of my business.
Yeah.
None of my business. And this is what I needed for me. My own personal development and growth has to be rooted in my truth and who I am.
Yeah.
It's what I need to survive and to thrive.
Yeah.
I cannot hold myself back or hold myself prisoner, afraid of what you have to say or what anyone has to say.
Fact.
It's really, it's a complicated space to be in, because I enforce that to everyone around me.
Of course.
And so when I see bullshit, I call bullshit out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to exist in that space.
Yeah.
And what I don't want around me is you to give me that.
Yeah.
If you can't step to me the way I step in with you, I'm good with going out. I'm good going somewhere else. I'm good. I mean, and I hate to sound, that sounds very dismissive of where people are in their lives. Yeah. But I know where I need to be. Yeah. I know where I am, and I know where I need to go.
Yeah.
And so I try to put out what I want to get back in return.
Yeah.
And I'm very transparent.
Yeah.
I've learned to allow myself to be transparent.
Facts.
And so when anyone challenges me to lower my voice, tone it down, it becomes a struggle and a challenge, because it took me years to get here. Yeah. Now I know that when we get somewhere, there still has to be a middle area. Yeah. So I'm still working on being there, but then bringing it to a balanced space, 100%. Right? But in my process, where I'm at right now, that's where it's at. Yeah. And you have to accept what my process is, because this is my life. Or not. This is my life. Yeah. And if you don't like it, by all means. Yeah.
You got a life to attend to. Facts.
I do. Facts. And so I would like to think that even witnessing what my process looks like, that it would give other people permission to get there too for themselves. Whatever that is for them, 100%. Get there. But for me, in my space right now, I couldn't be worried about what that looked like for other people. I really couldn't. It gave me joy. I would say something that was extremely like vulnerable and transparent. I was like,
Islam, do that shit.
Give me my Nobel Peace Prize. Where is my Image Award for best book or whatever? Like, there have definitely been moments that I was just like, I hate, and I like I said, I've never given myself permission to toot my own horn. Yeah. But there have been moments that I'm like, you are really saying something here. Yeah. Like, this is impactful. This is important, what you're saying. Yeah. And I just hope that, I hope that it's received well. Yeah. I know for me, I couldn't be more pleased.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm 100% proud of you meeting this space for yourself. I feel like it's necessary on the journey where everybody reclaims their version of it. It's your story. When you die, the memories that you have, the experiences that you've had, all of those things die with you. Mm-hmm. There's not a person alive that can out experience your experiences than you. So if you get to have a say in your life, why can't I get to have a say in my own? Why do I have to manage your triggers and your traumas in order for you to feel comfortable with my truth? I don't have to do that. It's so freeing to be in that space. And I commend everybody that is in that space themselves, where you're writing the story and you're not just the person holding the pen, but you're the author, you're the narrator, you're the person that is the subject and the person shooting what the subject is doing, the quiet observer, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's just a beautiful journey to watch. I feel like we do get inundated with perspective politics, where in order for me to do something, I have to take your perspective into account into my creation, which is not fair because I'm not creating the creation with the broadest of strokes that I can. I'm still putting it in this area that I think you might think is acceptable and okay. When the truth is, if I did it this way, it would be even more accepting and more beautiful than what you are trying to box it in to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love seeing this rising tides lift all ships type of thing happening with the level of vulnerability people are being. I don't need to hide who I am because all of it made me who I am. I don't have to hide parts of my journey because they all made me who I am. This thing that I do when I show up in a room and people enjoy my company or my perspective or whatever, it's all of those things that happened in my journey that made it so. So you can't say you love this part of me and not accept all of the other stuff that made me the way that I am.
Can you say it again for the cheap seats? Because that's a hard pill for some people to swallow, to accept one part of someone but not accept the entire whole of them.
Fact. It's a fact. Like, you might not have been with me when it was tough. You might not have been with me on the nights where I couldn't sleep, or the days that I had so much doubt in myself that I didn't know how I was going to put one foot in front of the other. However, you're getting the benefit of all of those times. You're getting that. So you can't separate what got me here versus who I am.
Yep.
You can't. So I appreciate that. Another question I like to ask, because we've been talking about the little boy you, would the little boy Esam, the 7-year-old or 9-year-old little Esam, would he be proud of who he grew up to be?
I think so. Like, I like to think that at one point I grabbed his hand and we have started running together. Like, no longer him leading me in the run or trailing behind, that we're side by side and I'm all the dreams that he ever could have had. That's truly how I feel. Like, I am really proud of myself. Like, I've made it out of some dark spaces. I've overcame a lot of obstacles. I'm proud of who I am. I bust my ass to love myself. Yeah. And I'm just really happy with who I am in my life. There's so much more to be done. And I look forward to that. And I look forward to seeing who I'll be in 10 years, in 20 years. And hopefully, I don't want to go too old, but 80 tops. 80 tops.
Listen.
80 tops.
Yeah.
I'm 80 tops. I don't know if I want to be 85 or 90.
I mean, what if you healthy though? You know what I'm saying? You don't have to
but everybody's dead, because everybody ain't healthy. If I'm healthy, I mean, everyone else is dying around me, and I got to bury my mother's dead. All my siblings are dead. Nah, I think 80, 85, if I'm walking right, is good. And I think that my little boy will be right next to me, and we'll both will just be smiling. Like, I guess maybe that old man would be next to me too. So then this version of me will be holding hands like this. Like, we did that. We did that. Because I just always wanted to leave this world feeling like I made an impact. Yeah. Right. That I contributed something worthy of all of our ancestry, all of my community work, everything that our people do. I wanted to make a positive contribution to that. Fact. You know, like there's people who have been through harder, bigger shit. Yeah. And they have done amazing work.
It's a fact.
I don't want to, you know, in vain disappoint my ancestors. Like I think about shit like that, and I don't think some people do. Like they think very immediate, like the immediate family. They don't think about what our people went through and overcame. Yeah. Like what that legacy should look like, or what we want from it. Yeah. And I definitely do. So like every piece of work that I do, I'm proud of. I think I step outside of the box and push envelopes to like further a conversation because we have to, not because it's safe or that we have to be concerned about other people. Like I definitely know that I push, but that's what I'm here for, and that's my contribution. Yours can be yours, but me myself, very proud, and that little Isam be very proud too. I think he'd be like, it all. Everything worked out. Yeah. You know, like I can look forward to what life will look like because look at what you did. Yeah. You did a lot of shit. Yeah. Like I don't like going down my resume, but my resume is long. Yeah. I've done a lot of shit in my life. Yeah. And I'm very proud of every part of it. Yeah. So he would be too, because he's sitting right here. Whether you know it or not, he's right here and he is smiling.
That's what's up. Yeah. Nah, that shit got me smiling. It touches my soul. Because I'm going to say it probably every episode when I have the conversation, because I don't tee up the questions. I don't send them to my guests beforehand. Like, I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to ask you that. I feel like I've thought about the questions enough that they'll hit a cadence where it just makes sense. We can have conversation, right? But in a world where, again, it tells you, be yourself, and then you be yourself and hold up, nigga. That's a little.
Let's edit that real quick.
Yeah. Can you not do yourself so much that way? So to hear the countless guys who have said, no, he would be proud. He would be pleasantly pleased with how it turned out. He would be whatever version of championing the man that he grew up to be. I really find so much joy in that. When I had the question, I was in my crib talking to my wife. I'm like, yeah, man, I think about the little Baith, and he would be amazed. He would be, because there was some dark times at 7 and 8 and 9 and 12. There was some dark times, and those dark times, me thinking about that moment, I didn't think I would ever get past that. I didn't think I would. I didn't think I would see light at the end of the tunnel. And the fact that I found my version of shining my light is just like, yeah, bye, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really grew up to be something. You know what I mean? Not too many more questions, but I'll ask this. Now, in your life at 44, do you or have you found a cadence of fulfillment in your life? Or how do you define what fulfillment is now in your life?
You know what? So, I'm not typically like pay attention to rave reviews, because then I feel like if I do that, then I pay attention to the bad reviews. Yeah. But I have been able to compartmentalize a lot of different things. But when I get like an email from someone, like I remember I received an email. A woman came up to me in Brooklyn, ran up to me, saw me in a bar, ran up to me. Oh my God, Isam Sharif, you are the reason I moved from Africa to here.
Really?
She was a young trans woman who was receiving death threats daily, in fear of her safety and life every day. She would comment on my videos. I would DM her, support and love, and told her that everything that she could be is waiting for her. And she found it. She stepped out on faith and brought herself to New York and was living the life that she always saw for herself.
Wow.
When that happened, I said, can't nobody tell me shit. I know I'm doing the work that I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And like I said before, if it's not for you, it's for someone else.
Yeah.
And for that young woman, it was for her. And that changed her life. It impacted it in a positive way. If no one else is impacted by the work that I do, that alone is worth it for me.
Yeah.
So I feel fulfilled in my work.
Yeah.
You know, aside from the fact that it's evolved and changed me.
Yeah.
I feel fulfilled. I feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right? I'm fulfilled. I'm fulfilled by that alone because what it's done for me. So when I hear, like when I did Iyanla, I got grown men, mothers, children stop. Like I'll be at a club, I would disappear. My friends were like, "Where you go?" I was like, "Somebody had me in the corner crying about their father."
Yeah.
But
I
mean, that would be me talking to them. But in front of them, I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing." Like I'm glad that the show touched you in that way, and that you decided to talk to your father, or like you tried to change the trajectory of your relationship. Like something changed in a positive way. Like they were impacted by my work, right? And so like when a painting is done and someone can see themselves in it and question who they are and try to find answers and do things differently, I'm like, I'm glad you see it. I'm glad you see and understand the work, because that's what it was for. That's what it was for. So every time I do something, like even telling stories on Wednesday on my Instagram, the amount of people that hit DM me when I tell a story always makes me go, this is why I'm doing it. There'll be some people who will see my story and be like, you tell too much of your business. And I'm like, but this is like kind of like small, kind of surface things that just give people permission to live in their truth, speak their own truths, and live, right? Like some people need to hear that you can live, you can say the honest truth out loud and you will be okay.
It's a fact.
Some people need that. So I feel fulfilled when I get that. I just feel completely fulfilled in all my work, and every aspect and layer of the work that I do, and whatever medium I'm doing, I always feel fulfilled in the work I'm doing, because I know this is where I'm supposed to be. I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I never don't feel fulfilled by the work, because I feel fulfilled. I feel fulfilled first. First me, then you, and if it gets me, then I know it'll get someone else. Because at that point, you're a conduit. You know what I mean? Like back in my rapping days, I would prefer to freestyle more than writing down raps, because I felt closer to the spirit of creation by just being a vessel,
allowing it to flow, as opposed to sitting down and crafting a bar and not really liking it and erasing it and try to be more crafty. And then more crafty is like, nah, here's my honest offering. It is me channeling the vibe that's happening in the moment and being able to articulate something that is in my field of consciousness in a subconscious way, not in a I'm thinking about the words that I'm saying, so I'm saying it. It's like, it's almost like a clear view, and I'm able to run as far, as fast, as high, as wide, as deep as I possibly can, because I'm allowing myself to be the vessel. I'm allowing myself to be the conduit. So the creativity shows in that manner or whatever. Man, this has been a good conversation. I have tons of other questions, but I'll save it for the part 2 when we link up. Okay. After the book drop, and if you still gonna have time.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'll try to fit it in between luncheons and flying across. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I have a lunch in Ibiza today. Right. I'm probably going to be in Santorini for the next 3 months, but I'll make some time for you, Baif. Type shit.
Oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying you. I was like, oh, really? Oh yeah, no. I'll be around.
Yeah.
I'll be around.
I asked this question or make this statement because I don't think of everything. I can't think of everything. Is there a question that I didn't ask that you think would be fitting to ask you in this space? Or is there something that we didn't touch on that you feel like would be worth touching on for this platform?
I don't think you expressed enough why you love me. No. I listen. I'm like I think I told you this when we were on our way here, that I love to trust the process and follow the path.
Yeah.
There is nothing that you did not touch on that we weren't supposed to touch on.
Understood.
Everything that was supposed to be said was said. I'm very grateful for you to even share or invite me onto your platform, because I appreciate conversations between men about things that we don't always necessarily talk about amongst each other.
100%.
So this is perfect platform, perfect person, perfect place to be. And I'm just grateful that you invited me.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. And your check will be in the mail, because I pay everybody to say good shit about me. That is a wrap on this episode of the Grown Man Shift podcast. I am Baith. That is Mr. Isam
Sharif.
I'll definitely put where to follow him in the course of the episode. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, there's topics that you want to see discussed, so forth and so on, you can hit me up at grownmanshitpodcast@gmail.com. I'm always checking the emails for the community aspect of connection. Don't forget to like, share, and follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a man to tell a man. And ladies, I have not forgotten about you. I do have a special roundtable that I'm going to do at some point. So please stay tuned for that. But this is me signing off. Thank you for tuning into the Grown Man Shift, and we are out.